I love this devil. They're frilly hot pants. Very fashionable. Kind of looks like maybe this imp's face is being lit by the light of the torch. I'm not sure what that coloration choice is about. But it's a really cool card. I love the stylish Daisy Dukes. Well, hey, this is Ina from Taproot Tarot, and I got such a good deal on this vintage deck from the 70s. It's the Epinal Tarot that was printed by Grimaud starting in 1976. This copy is probably either from 76 or 79. We'll have to open it up to find out though. So it is sealed, and they're often over $200 when they're still sealed. Even up to 260. I happened to find one on Etsy from a seller who doesn't really deal in tarot cards and was aware that it's worth more than what they were asking, but they were selling it for $33 since they don't normally like to deal with cards. So I just really got lucky. So I'm kind of excited. It's a really cool, quirky deck. Epinal is apparently near Besançon. And the artist, so this is back in 1830 when this was first published by Pellerin. And the artist, I think, was named Georgian or something like that, and was inspired by the Jupiter and Juno decks from Besançon. So this does have Jupiter and Juno instead of the Pope and Papess, and it has a few other quirks about it as well. So I'm really looking forward to finally opening this and going through it with you. I've had it sitting around for a while. I just kind of wanted some record, I guess, that it was sealed at some point. I'm not somebody who's going to buy a deck of cards to keep them sealed. I'll open them up and use them if possible, if they're still in sturdy enough shape, even if they are vintage. But I just kind of felt like I wanted to open it on camera. So I've had them for a little while with the hopes of starting a channel. And now that I've finally done that, I get to finally open these cards up. So looking forward to that. Let's go ahead and turn this camera around and take a look. Here is our deck. So you can see it comes with an instruction booklet. It has a little bit of history here. Apparently the booklet was created by a well-known tarot reader of the time. One thing I was surprised about is the size. A lot of my 70s vintage decks are more Fournier size. This appears to be almost full tarot size, maybe more narrow. So let's take a look. Unsealing it. I've looked at older scans of the originals, and this is really close. I know it looks very 70s in coloration, but the original is kind of similar actually. So there is another reproduction by DeviantArt. They have one on their Etsy site, which is tempting. They've had a lot of good reproductions. Tough box. I love these backs. They're so cool. I just really love kind of kitschy 70s decks these days. Alright, we can take a quick look at the book. So we've got French on one side, English on the other. It's actually a pretty attractive book. It has some history. I'm not going to read through all of it now, but apparently it has decent history. I'm going to see if I can find a date. It's got some card meanings, which are made by Paulette Weber, who was apparently a well-known tarot reader at the time. I'm not seeing a date on here, but it's probably from 76. All right, let's take a look at these. Oh, here we go. A little bit more history. It looks like these. Oh, they're in order. They're in an odd order. They're a little bit bent. Not a big deal. All right, let's compare them though. So these are my Tarot Classical and 1JJ Swiss. This is a vintage deck from the 70s, and this is a reproduction of a vintage. And so I was expecting the size to be closer. These are more Fournier sized, but the Epinal, you can see, is a bit wider, quite a bit longer. Here is the Ink and Intuition Tattoo Tarot, which is standard, and it's not quite as long as a standard tarot card, and it's significantly thinner, which is typical for Marseille decks. All right, I've got these in order so we can go through them. We have a significator card, and the Fool is translated as Madman. And the most notable thing is the creature. Some people refer to it as a cat, but that does not say cat to me. It's like a honey badger or something going after his leg. We have a conjurer with his juggling cups. I really like this Juno. The colors are pretty bright, maybe even garish, but they're kind of consistent with the original printing. So it's not just a result of this being from the 70s. The Empress is unnumbered. As is the Emperor. And there's Jupiter on his eagle doing a little dance. I like this Jupiter and Juno. The Lover. I love Cupid's wings. It's almost not clear, but could those be French card suits? Spades, maybe? In Cupid's wings? Not really sure, but it's a cool card. This deck has pretty horses, which I appreciate. I used to really dislike the ugly horses in Marseille decks, but I actually really like them now. I think they're cute, but I still appreciate pretty horses. Justice. Got a plaque here that says Loi, which is laws, and a serpent by a mirror, which is interesting. That reminds me of the Prudence card in the Minchiati deck, where Prudence is looking into a mirror and has a serpent by their side, possibly tempting them. So that's interesting. Here we have Le Capuchin, the monk, rather than the hermit. And a Wheel of Fortune with a bunny. I always love bunnies on a Wheel of Fortune. I'll give you a closer look because it's cute. Gratitude card. I love this death. It looks really wicked, but in a fun way. And some more detailed severed heads, which is kind of gruesome, but still acting as the Great Leveler. He cuts down the commoner and the king alike. Oh, look at that face. It's so good. Just a random bone here. This is such a quirky deck. I love it. Temperance. I love this devil. Look at their frilly hot pants. Very fashionable. It kind of looks like maybe this imp's face is being lit by the light of the torch. I'm not sure what that coloration choice is about. It's a really cool card. Love the stylish Daisy Dukes. The Tower. Lightning card. Really scenic star. A lot of these cards are at more artful angles, I guess, than the traditional Tarot de Marseille. And I like that. The Sun card from the box cover. I like that sun. Kind of a pleasant looking Angel of Judgment. The original, the ones that I saw, did not portray the world as blue, so I like that choice. Makes it pretty different. And like a lot of the world cards, this one is non-binary or gender neutral, maybe masculine. And instead of a lion, it has two sheep. That's an interesting choice. Alright. The pips are pretty, but I'll probably go through them pretty quickly. More cups. I love the cups from the 70s decks. They're very Monty Python to me. They're so cool looking. We have some birds and fruit. Maybe griffins? Those kind of look like griffins to me. Instead of the serpent slash dragon slash fish heads that's often on the Two of Cups card. They're quite pretty. Nice bright colors. Some of the printing isn't super complete. Ooh, there's cherries. I don't think I've seen cherries on one of these cards. Oh, there's some interesting botanical choices here. I like that. So yeah, some of the printing you can see is a little sketchy. These were referred to as catch penny decks, so they were made very inexpensively. Kind of printed fairly cheaply. The queens, some of them are standing and some are sitting. Another nice horse. We have this a little out of order. I thought I had them in order, close enough. Instead of the crown of flowers on the page of cups, we have laurels, which we also had on the emperor. I don't think the emperor normally has a crown of laurels, but those seem to feature in this deck. And he's covering his cup. So sorry that was a little out of order, but here's the king. We've got a nice oak branch with some acorns, but then there's a bunch of grapes hanging from it for some reason. Let's do a quick run through. Got some coneflowers there, some roses. Oh, that's pretty. Some poppies or something. I like how the page of batons always kind of looks like, I don't know, he kind of looks like he's ready to do some work, I guess, or he looks less intellectual and sharp than the page of swords. It looks like his strength is in his physical strength. Kind of similar to the Knight of Batons. It says stylish clothing. I appreciate that. Okay, so Queen of Batons is one of my favorite cards. I love how she often has really good side eye. She kind of looks like she's ready to, she's very calm, but she's ready to defend herself if needed. And this one makes me especially happy. I think this gesture with her hand is meant to be, maybe she's giving some kind of decree or something, but it kind of looks like an Italian point to me, which I think is hilarious. I love the Queen of Wands. Sorry, Queen of Batons. And I always also appreciate how the King of Batons is on standby. He's got his baton at ease, and he doesn't think that she'll need his support and backup, but he's ready to give her support if needed. But she can handle herself. Just decorative on this 2 of coins. I have another card like this that has a small angelic figure holding a snake. Maybe not angelic, that's not the word. And it might be the one JJ Swiss. But I think that's a cool addition. I'll have to look that up. Which deck I have that also has that. This is interesting. It's not a design I've seen before. So yeah, little quirks in each card, which I think is fun. A page of coins. Has a little bit of a castle ruins in the back. That's kind of neat. Center here. So the Queen of Coins has a chase to sit on, but she's standing next to it or in front of it instead. I do like how they are kind of Mediterranean in appearance. They aren't as aggressively blonde as some Marseille decks are. I wouldn't go so far as to call this an inclusive deck by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely a little more representative than some decks with 100% blonde hair. Got some roses and some oak branches. I'll flip through the swords here for you. There's a rose. I think these are really pretty. Some really interesting design choices. And here we have the Page of Swords. Sharply dressed as always. Queen of Swords is holding some documents or a fan, something like that. And finally the King of Swords with the face on his shoulder piece. Kind of an expressive face. That's kind of cool. Alright. Well, let's see how these shuffle. They are kind of bent inward. I'm going to take out the significator. I'd like to learn more about how folks like to use significator cards. I have to break these in a little bit. They shuffle pretty well. They're just curved one direction. Pretty substantially. Shuffle. It's flexible, but still sturdy. And we'll just see how these look. They might look in a spread. We got all swords here, mostly. Now we've got batons and some swords. I should actually look at my camera here. They are nice. They look good. Very cool. Well, thanks for watching. Let me know if any of the other decks I mentioned are ones that you'd like to see a walkthrough.